This is lesson third. We'll talk about the basics of the verb in Kashmiri, some of the very simplest things about how it looks and how you can kind of modify it. Not all the things, just a thing or two in order to help us form the present tense. Um, First of all, how do you identify a verb? Most of them end in un. Some common ones would be asun, basun, dabun, gatun, garun. Um, Not all the verbs, not all the words that end in un would be verbs, but nearly every one of them is. Um, and these mean exactly what I've written over here. Gatsun is slightly tricky because it means to go or to leave, but it can also be used as another kind of copular verb, which also means to be something. However, it has specific usage and doesn't always and can't always be just like used where you would use asun. What we need is the verb stem, which is simply obtained by taking the verb and dropping the un part. You'd be left with as, bas, dap, gat, gar in the five cases that I've mentioned. However, there is another verbal ending. It's kind of like yon or yun, and these are used in some very common verbs, of which there are about 10 to 20. These ones over here are pronounced jon, dun, kyon, byon, yun. By looking at the definitions, you could tell these are very common verbs. These are verbs that you'll need to use every now, like almost every day. I've written jon with two different spellings. I'll talk about why that is later, some other day. What we need the stem of a verb for is the continuative aspect. It's simply the stem with the ending on, and what that indicates is some repetition of an action or some continuation of it, or over some duration. It can also indicate habitual actions. This is kind of almost like, or exactly like, the ing suffix in English. Asan, that would be like being, basan, seeming, thinking, daban, saying, narrating, telling, gatan, going, garan, doing. And the way to form the present tense is exactly as it is in English. You have a pronoun, you have the auxiliary, and then the continuative aspect of the verb. I write the one present tense, and there really is only one. Although in English you have four present tenses, and one of the present tenses included there is the present perfect, like I have eaten, but that's probably a past tense because it's something that has happened. Kashmiri does have a particular tense construction to deal with it, but so I'm not including it here because it's not really the present tense, it's a past tense. An example of this would be, or rather, the way to form this would be to take b, which is I, chus, am, and the continuative aspect, daban, which was daban, I say, or I'm saying. It can mean both of these things. If you're a woman, you'd say bchas daban, bchas daban, and that again means I say, or I'm saying, or I do say, I keep saying. Um, Another verb would be gatun, and the way to form this, to say you go, there's a mistake over here. This should say you go or you are going, would be to say zi. So the proper construction would be zi chuk gatan, and for a woman I would say zi chak gatan, and so on. This isn't really something that you need to know, but you can also drop the pronoun sometimes, so you can get rid of b, zi, su, ish. And the way to do this would be to drop the pronoun first of all and bring the continuative aspect in the first position. So you'd be dealing with sentences like this, and let's say you want to just change these into pronoun-less sentences. You'd say dabanchus or dabanchas, gatanchuk, gatanchak. Maybe you don't really need these at the very beginning, but I'm just putting it out there because people do use them every now and then. I think this is about it for the present tense. That specific group of verbs that ends in yun or yun, I'll probably deal with in a while. There's just only one rule. I don't know why I didn't add it to this presentation. It also has some errors. Sorry about that. I'll do it the next time, maybe. Yeah, that's about it.